You ever felt it, that kind of quiet feeling that something is just deeply wrong in our schools? And I'm not just talking about test scores or budgets. It's a feeling, right? An atmosphere. It feels like our students are just opting out. They're quietly quitting on a system that just isn't giving them what they actually need. So what is going on beneath the surface here? Let's get into it. Yeah, this quote from our source material, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's this immediate, gut feeling that educators, parents, heck, even the students themselves are feeling. There's this quiet crisis of disengagement, and it's happening right under our noses.
And what we're seeing on the surface, well, these are just the symptoms. Think about it. Grades are so inflated they're basically meaningless. Students figure out pretty quick they can pass with the absolute bare minimum of effort. We've got these super complex behavior systems that track everything but don't actually change anything fundamental. And you know what it all points back to? One single massive failure. We have totally forgotten how to build motivation from the inside out.
So to really get what's happening, we've got to look past the symptoms. We have to look at the engine that drives everything we do, motivation, because that's where the real crisis is.
Okay, so what's so powerful here is how it just lays out the two paths we can take. On one side, you've got extrinsic motivation. This is the world of gold stars, pizza parties, the whole if you do this, you'll get that deal. It's a transaction. And sure, it gets you short-term compliance, but it's fragile. It makes kids dependent on getting that next reward, that next pat on the head. But on the other side, that's the goal. Intrinsic motivation. This is the good stuff. The drive that comes from real curiosity, from wanting to get good at something, from feeling a sense of purpose. This is what builds resilient, self-regulating human beings.
And here's the kicker. Our entire system is pretty much designed to feed the wrong beast. We inflate grades, which basically teaches kids that you don't really have to work for results. We invent these elaborate reward systems for which should just be, basic expectations. And we've nurtured this culture, and it often comes from a really warped idea of gentle parenting that completely shields kids from any real consequences for their actions. What we've ended up with is a world of hollow praise, where we're so busy protecting these delicate little egos that we're failing, completely failing, to build resilient human beings.
And this is the absolute crucial point. You can't just wish intrinsic motivation into existence. You can't just hope kids magically develop it. It has a prerequisite. It demands a foundation of internalized behavior. We're talking about grace, courtesy, and respect. You can't build a skyscraper on a swamp, right? Well, you can't build a motivated learner without this fundamental human foundation. It's just not possible.
So, what's the solution then? Well, it's not some fancy new program or app. It's about going back to something incredibly fundamental. It's about a curriculum that's been missing all along, teaching kids how to be human.
And this quote, wow, it just perfectly illustrates the huge mental shift we need to make. See, most systems are asking a question about control. How do we make students behave? It's a constant battle of wills. But the Montessori approach, which our source points to, asks a totally different and much more powerful question. It's about cultivation. How do we prepare an environment where children choose to behave? That difference between make and choose, it's everything.
So if you look at the really foundational years, say from ages 3 to 6, the curriculum isn't actually about the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. It's about building the person first. Things like independence, a sense of order, the ability to concentrate, those are the real subjects. And right at the heart of all of it, you see it there, grace and courtesy. Now, this isn't some fuzzy, old-fashioned idea. Grace and courtesy is actually a set of concrete, teachable skills. It's the practical user's manual for how to exist with other human beings, how to interrupt someone politely, how to disagree without it turning into a fight, how to actually listen, how to handle frustration without having a total meltdown. We just expect kids to know this stuff, but in a world where we're so terrified of telling a child no, we are catastrophically failing to actually teach them any of it.
And the thing is, this isn't just some lofty philosophy. It's a real, practical blueprint for building the human being first.
Okay, so this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually teach humanity? It's definitely not about just sticking some posters on the wall that say, be kind. It's a living, breathing, active process.
And the method is actually beautifully simple, but incredibly powerful. First, the adult models the behavior. You have to live it yourself. Then you demonstrate it, breaking it down into tiny, clear, manageable steps. After that, the child gets to practice with guidance in a really low-stakes environment. And then, and this is probably the most important part, you repeat it every day, intentionally, consistently. That's how real skills are built. Next up is the environment itself, which basically becomes a silent teacher. When everything in a room has a purpose and a place, when the systems are predictable and consistent, kids stop fighting for control. They start to internalize all that external order, and that helps them build their own internal sense of order.
Okay, and this part is just brilliant. It's a concept called control of error. The idea is, instead of an adult swooping in and saying, nope, that's wrong, the materials themselves are designed so the kid can see their own mistake. The puzzle piece just won't fit. The tower falls over. The child learns to see for themselves what went wrong, to problem solve, and to take ownership of it. Reflection completely replaces punishment, and that internal accountability, it replaces the need for someone else's judgment.
And just look at the results. By age 6, you don't get some kind of perfect child. That's not the goal. You get a capable one, a kid who can actually focus for a good chunk of time, who can manage their own emotions, who can communicate respectfully, and who feels a genuine pride in what they've accomplished. And remember, these aren't things they were given a sticker for. These are skills they actually built themselves.
So this really brings us to the choice we all have to make. And this is way bigger than just a school model. It's about getting back to the first principles of how we raise our kids.
And here's the first hard truth we really have to face. Our fear of hurting these so-called fragile egos has led us to remove pretty much all meaningful consequences from childhood. We're trying to teach responsibility in a total vacuum, and frankly, it's an impossible and disastrous experiment.
But this next one? This is the one that should really keep us up at night, because this goes so far beyond the classroom. If we churn out an entire generation that has never been explicitly taught the absolute fundamentals of human decency, we're not just failing our schools, we are actively dismantling the very foundations of a functioning civil society.
But after all that doom and gloom, here's the hopeful truth. Kids are not the problem here. They are literally wired to do all the things we want them to do. They're born curious, they crave mastery, they want to connect with other people. They're not lazy or defiant by nature, they are simply responding to the broken environment that we've created for them.
So really, that's the question we're left with. It's the choice that's staring us down in every home and every single school. Before we freak out about academics, before we obsess over compliance, before we hand out one more meaningless gold star, are we, as adults, willing to do the hard, intentional work of teaching the human first? Because the answer to that question, well, it's going to define their future and ours.